Hello again! Once more, this is Becca, often going by Nightcat or Netcat's Meow when online, and welcome back for another video on Linden scripting language. This time, we're actually going to start out with responding to a comment from Candy on YouTube talking about how the scripts in the episode 9 door security seemed to be a little small. I'm going to go ahead and presume from the way that you spoke of it that you're referring to how the actual control script inside the door seems small compared to a few others. A lot of that had to do with the fact that I put most of the rest inside the two sliding parts. You had asked if it is possible to hide a script, and the answer is not really. However, they don't have to all be in the main part, in the root section. So the portion that so if you got the pre-made doors, I'd already inserted controls for the doors to slide in and out that way. They were in the individual door pieces, and there are ways to put that control code in the primary script, but I was trying to focus specifically on the owner detection there as opposed to on some of the other mechanics. So sorry if that had been confusing. I hope this answered your question, and if I misunderstood your question, let me know and I'll do everything I can to clarify it. So, with that said, we're again talking about security because I mentioned I would show a couple of examples of it with the sit teleports. And I'm going to do that actually showing off a few things around the sim. So, we're going to head this way. And actually, my little picture here, nobody's commented on it yet, but it actually has its own functions, which you're actually seeing right there with it fading another picture on. That was not the best fade because this one has an alpha layer, kind of a added complication. I really should play with those pictures there. Yes, I am a fan of the current My Little Pony, but what you see here with these pictures fading, I'm actually going to do a tutorial in a future week and show you all how to do that. But for right now, we're going to take my teleport here. Now, I did mention that this one is, in the last week, that this particular teleport here is hidden, or is secret, which is why you had to actually right-click and choose to sit on it, as opposed to it being designed to automatically sit you on a click. So we're going to put this up here. There, that fits the entire script in there. So, the way this one works is much like my previous video on security. It operates by keys, but unlike the previous one that was designed specifically for just the owner, this one can receive multiple keys. So, up here we have a list, which basically means that you have multiple pieces of information that are going to be stored together, just like you would a shopping list or something like that. In this case, it is a list of keys. The keys are all marked individually between quotation marks and then separated by commas. That's very important because that's how the list knows where to break up each piece. And a list is always contained between these square brackets. Now, all the rest of this here should be familiar from last week's video. If it looks unusual or if you missed last week's video, I'll make sure there's a link in the description to more easily refer back to it. And then you come down to here. If sitting avatar equals get owner, this will be just like the previous security tutorial. But then we have these two marks here. That is an or. So basically, if this option is correct, or if this option is correct. So the next thing we need to look at is to explain what this is. LL list find list. This basically means look for the item we're searching for anywhere in the other list. So the first variable we have is keys. That indicates the list we established up top, keys. And then the second one, since this operates specifically by lists, right here, bracket and bracket to say this is going to be a list. String to convert that particular item into a string because a key is difficult to process another way. We got the key of the person trying to sit on it right here, so sitting avatar. So we convert the key of sitting avatar into a string, which is what these are. And I'll show you where to get that on a particular person very easily in just a minute. If what is returned by list find list, so it searches for sitting avatar in the list of keys, if that is greater than -1. Why this works is because list find list will return what position in this list, which item, whether it's key number 1, key number 2, key number 3, that shows up as. If it doesn't find it anywhere, that's -1. The reason is because computers handle lists a little differently than a person would. A human, you look at this, that's key number 1, that's key number 2, that's key number 3. A computer, this is key number 0, space number 0, space number 1, space number 3. So if it's less than 0, if it is not seen anywhere, it is less than space 0, it is -1. So that's a complex sort of computery way of saying, is the key detected by the avatar that just sat on this anywhere in this list? List find list, search the list keys for what was retrieved by sitting avatar, and if it has a space in that list, then this is true. Because of the OR, that would satisfy if either one of these are true. It then goes to target position. It has an initial target position set for convenience. This changes target position. This changes it to where it will actually go. Then down here we have an else. Instant message sitting avatar. GM server node. Null access. You do not have access to this location. The /n tells it to go down a line to basically break up this when it says it to the given avatar, and it sent instant message to sitting avatar. What that code actually means is it sends a message only to the key listed here, also retrieved from sitting avatar here. Line 1 will read this. That will break it to a second line, and please contact your server administrator with any questions. It's just a way of telling people, you can't get in here, this is for admin stuff. This else does not change the target position, so the target position stays what's established up here, which is established automatically on the change variable. That'll be important in just a moment. If it was an approved avatar, it changed the position to here. Now, just like last week, it sets region position to the target position. That is either the one that's preset, which is the same place it's currently sitting, or it is this one here that will actually take you up into my loft. It then kicks the avatar off and sets itself back down where it belongs, where it's sitting right now. Now, if the reason it is important that it sets this automatically every time that change occurs, change is what is triggered when you sit on it. So it automatically sets it to the default to being right here to kick you off so that it wouldn't move. Only if it detects an approved avatar does it change the target position. Otherwise, it does not. That is one way to secure that. You create a list of approved avatars, and only those avatars are allowed access to where that teleport goes. Now, I said I would show you how to get access to an individual's key. Well, let me see if I can bring up a contact list. You can find this with anybody. I don't really want to give away a friend's key, so come to think of it. So we're going to go to Profile. Anytime you look at a Second Life resident's profile, it will look like this. I mean, it'll have different pictures and different information scattered on it, but it'll be this same window. The entry just below their name, right here, is their key. The people that I want to have access to my loft up there, I just pulled up their profile, copied their key, go up here, edit, pop it open, and add the key right there. It's kind of redundant for me to put my key in here because I already check for get owner, which is me, so redundant. Now, the next security options I'm going to show you are actually not part of, are not key based, and they're also not going to be sit teleports. They're actually things that I have built into the sim. One of them is based on the HUD system I'm working on for the sim. So you can have characters actually run checks of their abilities to get in, which I will show you right here. This one, I'm not going to break down how to actually do all the code since there's a lot of things involved in how I put it together. But I will show you it in action as an example of what can be done, and then I will show you two easier ways to do it. You may wonder why that folder was marked Transformer. It's because this is a Cyberpunk and Transformers sim. You get interested in that? Let me know. I'm actually planning to start doing regular events here to turn up interest, like at least once, maybe twice a week. Have a little story event for the sim. But I need bring sim NPCs, humans, Dusty. Okay, welcome back. Sorry for that little cut there, but I needed to make sure that this stayed YouTube friendly when switching avatars. This is actually a character I have for this sim here. Like I say, it's a Cyberpunk and Transformers sim. This is one of my hackers. Now, whoops, wrong key on the keyboard. If you try to open this door, it automatically kicks you off. It is another sit teleporter. It says this door is locked, but there is a wireless access point connected to the maglock system. This might be hackable if you're good enough. That was a simple thing that just automatically sent you a message if you tried to sit on it. That interacts with the HUD system for my sim. So we're going to use hacking. Runs a quick roll of hacking. That actually took too long to do because of my explanations. So I'm now running the hacking roll again. There we go. It gives me the feedback. Hacking result. Your hacking skills penetrate the ice, intrusion countermeasures, and temporarily override security function. So I can hop on the door and it now teleports me inside. That is an example of security tied to a HUD system. How that actually works, it's a whole thing of sim management philosophy, and you instead of having a whole bunch of things designed to prevent cheating, I just make everybody accountable. What you do will be announced to other people, and then use that system to trigger the doors. Have to hack this side. And I'll show you another simpler method. And then I will actually code up another option for you. those sit teleports, you see how they get me through places that otherwise the walls would kind of be in the way of doing things. So now this door is a little bit different. You hit it, nothing happens. You actually have to go through the panel here. And it tells you the panel sparks to life with a simple question scrolling across it. Give a name to the puppet master before a keypad appears below. That's actually a clue to it. I'm going to blur out the actual password just in case any of you decide to come into the sim. But the way it works is you simply type in a response in the box up here, hit submit, and the door opens. So the way this works is the keypad and the door are all one object. So when you open this up, the first thing to happen is touch start. If detected link number, this decides where are you trying to interact with it from. If it's a specific one, it'll automatically open the door. This is a trick I have for not having to go through the same mess to get back out. If it's something else, if it doesn't equal 3, since it already said if it equals 2, do this. Then it says if it does not equal 3, which automatically means anything that is not 3, ignore it, since it already ran 2. If it was 2, it wouldn't even get down to else if. But since it got down to there, if it is not 3, return. That automatically tells it to leave the script. It stops running checks. It just goes back. It's done. So that means essentially it's a more programmery method of getting the job done. I've been using mostly somewhat more simplified techniques to teach. This is the kind of stuff I do when I'm doing it for my own purposes. You will get to the point that this makes as much sense to you as anything else. It just takes a little bit of playing around with things. If detected key 0 equals who, oh, it's because this one is, it sends a direct message to the person. The red panel with the chastising finger returns. That is why. Because here, if the detected key does not equal who, then it runs down here, else who equals detected key 0. That was what was going on with that. This basically records for a certain period of time who's interacting with it. That way, if the same person comes back, tries to interact with it again, and it hasn't, after failing to get in, there's a certain cooldown time before they're allowed to try again. That's what that was for. It will set the link color. That's where it actually showed up blue there. Message equals, and it listens on this channel for the message here. Message is a string established up here. The thing is, a string like that can be used as a way to create a temporary listen. I've covered listens in a couple of different tutorials before. If you want to just have it be only available for a short period of time, for a certain interval of time, you create a string and set your string to be equal to a listen. Well, there is a way to go through later and turn that off, and it will only be functional during that time. In this way, you're able to establish who to listen to, a specific key of an individual to listen to. It will ignore everything else. That sends an instant message to that person that the panel sparks to life with a simple question. And yes, I'm fixing my spelling error there. To life with a simple question scrolling across it. And then it creates text box, which is what you saw pop up in the corner. Who is going to see the text box. Its title, put a name to the puppet master. and the channel it will talk on, which is the same as the channel we established in this listen. The listen then goes on here if substring index message equals to the specific 4-digit code does not equal -1, and message does not equal blank. The 2 ampersands are and. We covered on my video about securing the teleport to my loft, we covered or. This is and. Whereas or will be yes if either aspect is true, and requires they both be true. So basically it is a substring index. That's just like I showed you with the list before. What point in the string of text, what digit does it start giving this information? If that's -1, it's not in there at all. So exclamation point equal, it is does not equal or is anything but -1, which means that it has a point anywhere in that string, it will accept it. Gives you the instant message, the panel flashes a symbol of rose and thorns, followed by the sound of maglock releasing. Sets to sleep, which we'll cover in, is just a pause. A script will wait. I showed you timer event before. Timer event causes something to trigger automatically after a certain period of time. Sleep causes the script to just stop. It just freezes up and doesn't do anything until the designated amount of time has passed. Whereas a timer event, it will continue to do other things, and then when it's counted down to that timer, it will do whatever it was set to do. So they're somewhat different. It should be used in different ways. It then changes the color back to blanking it out and triggers open. If you get it wrong, meaning that if this substring did not equal -1, or if there really was no message, either way, it will change it to a different color. The panel flashes a cartoon face with a finger waving, chastising you before the screen goes dark again. Now, as mentioned before, with the timer, which was set a little further back up here, set timer event 500, so it was waiting for 500 seconds, at which point it will automatically close. If it happened to be open, it will clear the record of who out of the system and then automatically stop. And I actually broke one of my own rules with this because I forgot to do and I never noticed because I threw this together and then went on to other projects. But that is another way to do it. That is a way to create a password lock. And by recording who and then waiting a certain period of time, it will make sure that somebody can't just click it over and over again, trying several times to put in the right password. But it gives a certain while after which they will be allowed to try again. I set these particular settings up based on making a roleplay sim, but if you just need to secure an area and just give out a password periodically, you can set this up for yourself. I have one more method I promised you for how to secure a sit teleport, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a token-based system. What that's going to mean is that an item you have on you will trigger the permission. So, do that. Did I keep any of my old other sit teleports? I think I did. That's actually going to make this easier. There we go. This is one of the ones we already had. Just makes things a touch easier. Start it again to get a coordinate for where we are. Save. this adding a space is enough to restart the script, so I can get another set of coordinates. Copy. Paste. Save. There we are. Ah, we're having delays because of those. There we go. Alright. Now this is one of my normal sit teleports there. Actually, easier way than just getting something to sit on. Just copy this and reorient the start. Worked last week, why wouldn't it work this week? There we go. Now, in order to make this a token controlled thing, basically you have to have an item on you to trigger it, like a passkey. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to establish a control up here. Anything above default, these are global. So we're going to actually establish this variable as a global. What this is going to do is this allows us to be remembered always, no matter where in the code it is. When it was just down here, it would be forgotten and removed as soon as it finished running this block of code. Up here, it's going to be preserved indefinitely. We're also going to move these up here as well. They are now also global, so they apply to the entire script and no longer need to be here. And we're going to take these out. Cut. Paste. So we've effectively created a new command, move. Now also, because we've made the key Avi a global variable, we're going to clean it up by doing this. That will automatically clean that up at the end of what we're doing. Instead, here, instead of if Avi is an actual key, then, or is an actual anything, triggering this the way it used to, we're going to start by doing that. This should cause it to function exactly the way it did before. All right, transported us down, transported us up, with a bit of a collision issue there, down, up. All right, but because we turned this behavior into its own command by giving it a name, making it a global, then it can be triggered by something other than right. It can be triggered somewhere else than right there. Instead, we're going to do what I showed you a minute ago, and we're going to make a special listen. Make an integer. I misspoke earlier calling it a string. Trigger. Then we're going to go down here, automatically create the listen by trigger equals listen. We'll put it on channel 10. Right, to start with, we'll have it listen to anything, because it's easiest to test that way. But use the command go. Now we set up the listen function, integer 10, string, whoops, thinking of the wrong spot, integer chan for channel, string who for who's talking, key what, string message, if message is equal to go, then trigger move. And after move, we will remove the listen, LL, listen remove. That's how you get rid of those temporary listens. And just so that we don't leave that open forever, set timer event 10. Later we can shorten that a lot. Then the timer, set timer event 0 so we don't wind up having it repeat infinitely. And listen remove. Save. Successful. Alright, so we're going to preset the command go just to be ready to go. We sit on it, nothing happens. Hit go, and it kicked us off the way it normally would. That was an interesting animation glitch I'm having. So we're going to avatar health. There we go. That fixed that. Pop ourselves back up. Now what you want is a device, a token, which will automatically trigger your passcode. So on touch, say, and go. We're going to call the object a pass token and save. Why are we calling it a pass token? Because we're going to add an extra level of security up there in just a minute. We're going to take the pass token, produce an object, pass token, and my actual attachment points on this Abby are full. Attach to HUD, center, makes it easy to find. So we'll hop up here, nothing will happen until we hit the pass token. The pass token sends us down because it sent the proper command. But right now, we could still trigger it just in speech. /10 go. But we don't want that. We want it to be triggered only by the pass token. So we go into the listen here with trigger equals listen and change that to pass token. Just to give us more time to work with this, we're going to actually change the timer to 50 seconds. Just makes life a touch easier for us right now. Pop up. We tell it /10 go, nothing happens. We hit the pass token, and it works. but this is still something we have to manually trigger. That's not really how you want a pass token to work. So we're going to pop back in here. We're going to give the pass token a listen on channel 10. We'll make it secure sitter. Still using null key because we don't want to have to verify the key of it anytime that we're interacting with it. And have it say go. And this changes from touch start to, whoops, that's the command, not the function. Listen. Integer chan, string what, key who, string message. It is kind of a habit to go in and just put the if it means something, but there's only one listen in this entire thing. It can only listen on 10 from secure sitter or the word go. So if all three of those are not in place, it will never pass something to the listen function. So we can just leave it at that. Say 10 go. We'll save that. Compile successful. Go back into here. General, make it secure sitter. Go down here. Save. Problem was I briefly forgot to put in the quotation marks. I also put that in the wrong spot. We actually want that up here. Now, one of the things, if I put it right there, it's not going to work. Can you see why? Because it's saying this before it triggers this, and in the speed at which computers function, that is not a reliable amount of time. You can't be guaranteed that it will take long enough for the other device, so your pass token, to say go. It may say it before it is fully processed this listen. It probably won't, but it could. So instead, you put it down here. Order of events is important. This way, it is listening for the response from pass token before it gives the message to the pass token. That way you guarantee that it can't miss anything. At this point, we're going to shorten the delay to 5 seconds, since this should be entirely automated. Yep. That is a secure teleporter, operated on a pass token. So if you had a particular place that people would go to that you wanted to give out special passes, or even special tickets to, they would wear this device. You see, if I take it off, nothing happens. It just doesn't respond. But I put pass token back on, and it works. There you have a few different ways to secure your doors, or really any script you're working with. So you can use them for special events, roleplay servers, secure spots in your own home that you want to restrict who gets to come in and out of. Any and all of those work. So that's it for this week. Again, I'm Becca, often going by Netcat or Netcat's Meow when online, unless you're playing Overwatch, in which case I go by GamerSelf. Signing off for the week. As usual, good day and happy coding. See you next week.